In this video, I'm going to demonstrate to you some ways in which you can give without guilt, especially if you are a woman, because I am giving a woman's perspective. Hi, my name is Michelle Fondin. I'm the author of 12 published books, including The Empowered Divine Feminine, Becoming an Unstoppable Woman in the 21st Century and Beyond. You can find all of my published books on Amazon and 10 of my published books on Ingram Spark. If you're new to this channel, I want to welcome you here. Thank you for subscribing. Click on that bell, scroll up to all for all notifications, and thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. I do tarot readings and coaching sessions. You can book that at my website below. And hey, on Monday, February 16th of 2026 at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, I'm doing a free Zoom call. It's a Q&A to find out about my meditation course. If you're curious about learning a mantra-based meditation, click on the link, register to join me for that live Zoom call on Monday. Welcome to a discussion on the Empowered Divine Feminine. This is really on how to give without guilt. And this came to me from many different angles in the last 2 weeks. If you missed my vlog number 32, where I gave a part of my personal story from my childhood that I have never shared before. It's something deeply personal, but I really felt it was necessary because I feel like it ties together some of my experiences with why I believe that personal power is so incredibly important and why I teach it, why I preach it, why I tell you guys to take responsibility for your lives. That is why. But in that video, I spoke about growing up in poverty. Now, this kind of hit me hard because I'm a woman, and when I was thinking about giving without guilt, a lot of things came flooding in. Now, here was the impetus for this video. I was watching Tony Robbins, who had a recent free event on YouTube. And I've been to many of Tony's live events. I've been on the online events as well during COVID when he couldn't be live. And I have followed him with a lot of his books and CD programs. Yes, CD, and probably not cassette tape, but CDs certainly. So I'm really familiar with Tony's work, but in the live event, that was like a 3-day free event, he had mentioned something about giving 10% of everything you have. Now, I know this is common practice. I know that churches and synagogues, many religions, for example, they encourage tithing, which is wonderful. I think it's a great idea, actually. And way back, I would say about 10 years ago or so, I was doing a Suze Orman program, who is a financial guru. She's written many books. She does live programs as well. But I was following her on how to get my finances in order. And that's another thing she preaches too, is to give 10% of everything you have. Now, here is where we tend to run into issues, especially if you're a woman or if you're a single mom, or if you are really living paycheck to paycheck, is that sometimes that's not even possible. So I practiced this for a while, about 10 years ago, when I was on my own. I had my own yoga business and I was raising 3 kids pretty much on my own. And I really didn't have a lot of extra cash. I mean, kids are expensive, come on. And I was living in a pretty expensive area back in Virginia. And so I practiced it, but then I found that I was getting deeper into debt. Literally more money went on the credit cards because I was giving all this cash money away for free, thinking it's the right thing to do. It's the best thing to do. I must do this. It is my duty to do this. But I found myself getting deeper and deeper into debt. And so then I was like, well, maybe this is not a great strategy for me right now. And so that really, I wanted to talk about this because a lot of people, they really feel like if I want to be a good person, if I want to be a good Christian, a good Muslim, a good Jewish person, a good citizen, just in general, then I have to give up to 10% or more of all the cash that is incoming to me. But I want to expand your view a little bit. And I told you I was going to give you a woman's perspective because I am a woman. And if there are men watching this, I love men, but I can only give my perspective from my life because that's who I am. So there might be something in this for you as well. But one of the things that I was taught, and hence the book, The Empowered Divine Feminine, but one of the things that I was taught growing up is that as a woman, you give. That's what you do. You are a caretaker. You give of yourself. You give of your body to bear children, right? You might even give of your body to feed your children, which I did for several years. And you give because that is the best thing to do as a woman, as a mother, as a caretaker. And those who are givers by nature, I want you to hear this. This is really important. Those who are givers by nature typically have a more difficult time receiving. And so that is where the imbalance happens. For me personally, I was always taught to give. And I feel like a part of my personality is just that. I have a tendency to give. That's just who I am. It's a part of my personality. It comes very easily for me. It's not an effort whatsoever. I have a way more difficult time in receiving, and I'm working on that. I'm doing active work, active exercises daily to work on that because I know how important it is to reestablish that balance. But I was taught that at a very young age. And so I gave and I gave and I gave and I gave. Now, this is where I would like to come in with what giving is. Many people, when they think of tithing or giving 10% of your income, they really equate it to money. They're like, if I don't give this, then I'm not a good person. But giving can come in so many ways, shapes, and forms. You could give a smile to someone and that really would make their day, right? You give a silent blessing. You could give the gift of a conversation with somebody, right? If you're in the line at the Starbucks or the grocery store and you see someone who looks very alone, you might just talk to them, say hello, how are you doing? I like your hat. Because we don't realize it, but sometimes the gift of just paying attention to someone is a great gift. And sometimes that will turn someone's day around, like the smile. You could give the gift of a joke or laughter. Again, we don't place a lot of value on this, but there is so much value in love and connection, right? You could give the gift of a hug. You could give the gift of a kiss. You could give the gift of forgiveness. You could give the gift of saying you're sorry when you're wrong or when you've hurt someone. You could give the gift of spending time with someone that you normally don't spend time with. Time is a wonderful gift to give. Now, of course, there are the traditional ways of giving in the way of working at a charity event, for example, to give, volunteering somewhere to give. There are a multitude of ways in which we can give. So money is not the only thing, and 10% is not the only thing either, but we tend to pigeonhole ourselves sometimes into these notions that I won't get into heaven if I don't give my 10%, right? And I would urge you not to get stuck in those notions that that is the only way that you can give. But it's always good to give if you can, of course, right? It is good to help others when you can. And the way I do it when it comes to giving, whether it's giving $10 or $100 or $1, I always check in with my heart and I say, does this feel right at this right moment? And it's a microsecond of a decision, right? So I might see someone with a sign on the side of the street or in a parking lot, and I check in with my heart to see if it's the right thing to do, if I happen to have some cash on hand or even a sandwich on hand, right? And then I will give if my heart says, yes, go ahead and give. Otherwise, I always give a silent blessing. I always just say in my heart, please bless this person, bless them with wealth, prosperity, with food, with shelter, with what they need. So that is a beautiful way in which you can give something even if you don't have dollars in your pocket, you don't have anything to give to them in that moment. Let's go back to the problem that I have encountered as a woman and many women who encounter this problem of you need to give, you need to nurture, you need to give of yourself, is that we can often give to depletion where we don't have any resources. We often give where we're not giving back to ourselves in the way of energy, time, money even, right? Giving back to ourselves, especially if you have children. I remember there was a time period where I would buy clothes for my kids, but I wouldn't buy clothes for myself because, of course, the kids needed it. I didn't necessarily need it, but I was giving to depletion. And then there was an added layer to that. When I was married, there were time periods where I was working as a teacher. And then there were time periods where I had stepped back to raise my kids. And it was at those moments where I felt the most guilt. And it was at those moments that the person I was married to made me feel a little guilty as well. And I feel like society and other women and just society at large puts a lot of guilt on stay-at-home parents, whether you're a mom or a dad that stays home. But for me, I was a mom staying home. And there's just a lot of guilt. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of expectations that say you're not really doing anything. You're not really a productive member of society. So it is your job to give. So not only are you giving to your household and your kids and the cleaning and the cooking and the preparing and the driving and the schoolwork, but you are also encouraged to volunteer in the classrooms, volunteer at school, volunteer for soccer teams, or volunteer for Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts, volunteering up the wazoo for different things, the PTA and what have you, and volunteer at church. And that was me. I was in the position where I was giving because I apparently did not add value to society. And a lot of women feel this, and maybe men do too. I believe that now in 2026, there are more men that decide to stay home with the children and raise the children while the mom goes to work, and that's perfectly acceptable. As I was raising my children, and they're all adults now, it was a lot of moms that stayed at home, or maybe they worked part-time, or maybe they even worked from home. I knew an attorney who was a co-leader in the brownie troop for my daughter at the time, who was raising like 5 kids. I think she had like 5 kids in 3 years. She had 2 sets of twins. Naturally, crazy. Twins just ran in both of their families. But she was an attorney and she was working from home, raising 5 kids and volunteering like crazy. And so for me personally, I just saw all of these moms in general that were like running ragged. They're running themselves ragged, trying to give to everybody. They were giving to their kids, giving to the PTA, giving to the bake sale, giving to the sports, giving to the what have you. And they were not, they weren't enjoying their children's childhoods, which I really put a stop on that several years into it. I was like, this is insanity. I'm not even enjoying my children's childhood because I am too busy giving. I'm too busy running around trying to give my time and effort and creativity and imagination and all the above. And sometimes money, right? That was coming from the family pot, if you will. I saw all these women just running themselves ragged because they did not feel valued. And they felt like the only value that they could give was in giving of themselves, giving of their time. And I believe that this is such a wrong way to go about it. There are some people out there, I'll tell you right now, there's some people out there that are designed to do that, meaning they get so much pleasure from being the PTA president and leading the Boy Scout and Girl Scout troops and being the head of teaching Sunday school at the Sunday church. They get so much joy and connection and love out of it that is where they shine. And that leads me to my next point. If you are going to give and you're going to give authentically, give only when it comes from your heart, not from guilt. Because when you give from the space of guilt, you become a martyr. You become this sacrificial lamb. But when you give from your heart and your heart is saying, yes, go, that kind of like my little ritual when I see someone on the side of the road or in a parking lot, if my heart says, yes, go, then I do it. And if my heart kind of tugs me back, then I'm like, okay, I will give a prayer instead for this person. I will bless them. I will wish them well. I might even give them a smile, right? So there are so many other things that you can do. For example, I found this mother in a parking lot, and I think it may have been during COVID, but I saw a mother in a parking lot with, a few kids and with signs and everything. And I gave her the name and number of this church that I had belonged to at the time that I knew for certain, 100%, that they were giving away diapers and formula and food bags to people that were unhoused. And so since I knew this, and I said, here's the connection point, you can go here and get the things that you need from this specific church. When you give, really check in with yourself. Am I giving because I feel really guilty that I'm not giving enough of my money, time, effort, creativity, what have you? Or am I giving because I feel that my heart is telling me this is the best thing for me right now? And there's such a difference, right? There's such a difference in that giving because the receiver will receive so much more and so much better when it's coming from a heart-centered place rather than a place of guilt. Now, the other thing, and I think this goes without saying, but I thought I'd just throw it in here, it's best to not give if you're expecting something in return, right? So even with religious organizations who encourage you to tithe, a lot of times that comes from a place of guilt almost, right? It comes from the place of oh no, if I do not tithe my 10%, I will not get into heaven. God will not be pleased with me. And so that is even a giving to get, right? Because I'm going to give so that I have a place with my Lord, with my Savior, with my God, right? That's a giving to get. But if you give because you just feel like I have it, I want to give of myself, I want to give of my resources, my money, my time, giving food, for example, then that is what I am going to do. But I'm not going to do it because that is my only way I'll get into heaven, for example, right? Or if you're giving because you want, for example, if there's a bake sale at your kid's school, and then you bake all these incredible treats because you're hoping to be voted into the next PTA president, again, that is not the way to give, right? You give without guilt, without motive, and that is the best place of giving. And believe me, it is okay to say no. A lot of times we have this false notion that because I am not providing X, Y, or Z organization with monetary contributions, then I have to give of myself in the way of volunteering or my time or my labor even, right? My labor, whether it's baking for bake sales or becoming a leader for a Boy Scout, Girl Scout troop or a sports team when your heart is not in it. You're just like, oh, I need to do this. I need to give because nobody's stepping up or because I'm not donating to this side. So then I got to give my time on this side. Then you know that the people that are receiving what you're giving are going to feel the resentment from you. So you're not giving to get, and you're not giving out of guilt, but you really are giving only when it comes from the place of your heart. When it comes from your heart saying, yes, this is a go, let's go, right? Yes, this is a go, let's do it. And always, always, always check in with your heart. The one thing I want to say to you, if you are a woman or a man staying at home with kids, as an example, right? That you are valuable. You are doing the most valuable work on the planet. If you are electing to work part-time only or stay at home and that is your work, your children are your work, your home is your work, providing for your family in the way of cooking them nice meals is your work, or even just being there before and after school, right? At drop off, at pickup, whatever it is that you're doing, helping the kids with homework, giving them their baths, reading them their stories, taking them to the library. You are doing the most important work on the planet. I don't care what anybody tells you. That is the most valuable, is keeping the next generation in close proximity to feeling that they are valued and they are loved. Because if you as a parent don't feel valued for the job that you're doing, then of course they're not going to feel valued as kids. So you have to know first and foremost that you are valued and you're doing one of the most important jobs. That was just a little side note. That was a side note because that was the camp that I happened to be in for many years when I opted to work part-time and then I wasn't working once I had 3 kids. It was way overwhelming. It was too much to handle. So yeah, so I would say give without guilt, check in with your heart, whether it's time, money, effort, creativity, your body even, right? Your body even. If you don't want to give a hug, don't give a hug. If you don't want to give a kiss, don't give a kiss, right? Unless if your heart is telling you it's the right thing to do. And really that is the best way that you can expand. And really that is the best way that others can receive the best of you. Because when you give to depletion, they're never getting the best of you. You might think they are, but you know how it feels when you're not at 100% or when you are too divided in too many different directions. So I'm giving you permission today to only give when it comes from your heart in whatever shape or form that giving is. And next, we'll really talk about learning how to receive. I want to thank you so much for joining me here today. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. If you're not yet subscribed, click on the bell, scroll up to all for all notifications. Thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. Share this with others who you know give out of guilt or give till they're completely depleted. Share with them. Let them see a different perspective. Thanks so much for your support of my published work. You can purchase any of my 12 published books. You can look on my website. I have so many resources for you. You can join a course or join that free Zoom webinar on February 16th. Learn more about learning meditation, and I will see you in the next video.